So, to be completely upfront with you guys, that small drought of videos that we were in there for a little while was kind of the perfect storm of distractions and setbacks. Lots of stuff happened, things got pushed back, things are still in the pipeline, I felt creatively drained and a little bummed out because of some real life stuff that happened. But then after I was getting back into the swing of things, this free-to-play game started really getting some attention. So I told my cousin about it and how I was thinking of picking it up soon. Then, the next thing I knew, he was telling me that I needed to download it because it was so awesome. Well, that was a pretty quick hook, line, and sinker. And it just so happened that I had the next 4 days off at home from my day job, so I downloaded it and RuneScape from Steam. I haven't touched RuneScape yet. This game is so much fun, way more fun than I expected it to be. So I'll tell you now before we get into the meat of it, if you don't want the game to be spoiled for you up to about adventure rank 27-ish, then you can come back later after you've been properly sucked in. It's totally worth it, by the way, but let me explain to you how so if you're all buckled in. The Shanghai-based company MiHoYo has been at it since around 2011, publishing their first title, a cutesy jetpack puzzle mobile game called Fly Me to the Moon. Then, after a couple of their other releases in 2016, they released their cross-platform action-adventure game Genshin Impact 3rd. Honkai garnered high praise and became #1 on the App Store in China for a brief time, then development began on the team's biggest undertaking yet. The initial reveal of Genshin Impact was met with some initial backlash due to the striking similarities between it and Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The developers never took this as an insult, however, seeing as how Breath of the Wild was indeed held in high regard by the team during the development of Genshin Impact. But they constantly assured players that given just a few moments of the game, you'll see the differences very clearly, and if we can get a little more personal here, yeah, I can agree. This game assuredly takes some inspiration from Breath of the Wild, but after playing it for around 25-ish hours now, it's such a different experience. The intro cutscene offers you an interesting hook into this world, as your character's sibling will be captured by this evil lady, and hot damn. Okay, let's talk about the first thing I took note of as soon as I booted this game up. But real quick, in case it flew by you at the beginning of the video, this game is completely free to play, but that means nothing to the quality on display here. This cutscene and many others are animated so amazingly well. Just look at the fluidity of movement and the spectacular character animation in these cinematics. This game has more fully animated cutscenes in the story than Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and I wish that were hyperbole, I really do. But man, these all look great. It's extremely well done and the characters backing up the action look great too. I mean, you guys already know what kind of person I am if you watch the EX Troopers portion of the Lost Planet retrospective, but let's just say, I like the cute anime girls a lot. Don't take that sentence out of context. So after losing your sibling to this sexy evil anime witch, you're plopped onto a beach to begin your adventure, and you're greeted by...
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned. So Paimon will do her best to be a great guy.
Paimon. Paimon is your guide character for this adventure, similar to a Navi or something of the sort. It's pretty annoying the way she talks to herself in the third person, but thankfully you can skip any dialogue exchange you wish. The voice cast in general were pretty passable, nothing to write home about, but nothing exceptionally bad. I did notice some jank in the subtitles though, like where the lines being said were just not matched up to the text at the bottom. It wasn't too distracting, I just thought it was funny.
Scared of you? A debt collector will come to my aid.
I actually was enjoying the story's first act. Up until you confront Dvalin, I was on board. Not to say I think the story got bad or anything after that, quite the opposite in fact. This is one of those reasons I have a hard time getting on board with RPGs in general. It just takes too long for the story to reach a conclusive end, and yes, that is the point of an RPG story. I understand. You're not supposed to be there for the plot, but for the characters and the journeys they go on. But that's just not how I enjoy my games, so what can I say? And the characters in the game were just kind of there. Nothing stood out as amazing, but I also didn't hate any of them. They were all just archetypes I feel as if I've seen before, especially the silent main character. Okay, this one bothers me. In the opening cutscene, we see our main character speak perfectly fine, but after that, she doesn't speak another peep until the beginning of the second chapter. Would it have been that much more money to just have the actors say these branching dialogue options? I mean, you already reuse some lines as it is, even though the context is completely different different, and the inflections should reflect that.
Paimon wonders how Dvalin gets in there with a body that huge.
He doesn't walk in. He flies in.
Why did Dvalin pick a place filled with puzzles and seals as his lair?
He doesn't walk in. He flies in. He doesn't walk in. He flies in.
But no, I just really didn't care as much about the plot because it wasn't what I was playing the game for anymore. I was playing the game to play the game by now. And luckily, the game is the best part. Breath of the Wild is one of the best games of the decade. Some might even say one of the best games in general, but it's an exclusively single-player experience. This has never been a problem for me though. You guys know by now, I tend to stick with single-player games anyway because I think they can just hold attention better. I enjoy competitive multiplayer as much as the next guy, but I think better games can be created with a single focus on your player's character. And you all also know how I feel about open world games. I like them, but I think they far too often fall into familiar territory with the lack of truly original ideas. They put the concept in a new setting, but still give you the same 4 or 5 objective types to go and do. Given all this information, you might think that I wouldn't find Genshin Impact to be anything special, but it actually has so many facets of gameplay, small and large, that set it apart from anything else on the market that I don't even know where to begin right now. But I suppose I could start where I know I'll always feel at home. The combat. Your combat skills aren't anything too crazy to begin with. You have a light attack combo, a heavy attack, and a jumping attack if you can get some height. An elemental ability that goes on cooldown after use, an ultimate attack that you can pull off after your meter fills, and a short dash that precedes your sprint that acts as a dodge, invincibility frames and all. But the combat's true strength comes from your party of characters. While just playing through the story, you'll eventually unlock one character for each element in the game. This is important to solve environmental puzzles and other obstacles, but one step at a time here. You can have 4 party members available to swap out at the press of a button, and each character has a unique combo, elemental attack, and ultimate to consider adding to your personal fighting style. And okay, really quick, let's talk about Genshin's defining trait as a free-to-play entity. Microtransactions are usually a swear word in today's gaming culture, but the way I've always seen it, if you enjoy playing the game, you want to support the people who made the game, and it's not directly harming your ability to play the game as intended, then what's the harm? If you're being told that you have to pay extra money to get all the content in a $60 base purchase, then there's a whole other can of worms there that we can save for another day. But with that knowledge now in the open, microtransactions in Genshin are almost unnecessary. Like I said, I've been playing for a little over 25 hours and still having a blast, mind you, and I never felt like I had to spend a penny on a new character or in-game currency. And that doesn't mean I never unlocked any cool stuff either. I got some pretty nice in-game content and a team full of characters that I'm super happy with, except for Amber, just from the items the game gives you to work with. It's not a drip feed of experience or money either, it's all super fair. I did end up giving the game $5 for some currency, but it was only because I wanted to give the developers some support. Now, of course, in a perfect world, I would prefer a shop where each weapon and character can be purchased separately, instead of randomized loot drops, but since it's easy to get the currency and there's never anything you don't have that halts your progression in the game, it's not a humongous deal. And the amount of progress I made by paying $5 would have maybe taken me 20 minutes to accumulate through gameplay. It's so optional, and that's the way I prefer it. But okay, back with combat. Since you have 4 different characters to swap in and out mid-combo, it opens up the game to be so much more creatively liberating than before. The possibilities for your own personal playstyle really is up to you. You can get some fun juggles going if you can swap the right characters in and out at the right time in your combos. It feels consistently good to pull off. But as you play, you realize that the elemental side of combat is increasingly important. Every character has control of an element, and the elements can be stacked to create damaging effects. Like if you use a hydro character and then an electro character, you can imagine what would happen. Or if you use a wind attack on some nearby fire, it'll whip up into some damaging fire winds. And this plays into how some enemies should be defeated. Some enemies may be carrying wooden shields that you can bait out openings and finish them off that way, or you could use a pyro to burn the shield off the field for good. The possibilities are so much fun to experiment with, but if I had to offer some thoughts, I couldn't help but feel the interactivity with the environment was a bit lacking. If we're to take the obvious route and compare to Zelda, there's just a lot of environmental awareness that isn't in this game. I can only ever think of using Kaya's cryo power to get over to the far-off island as an unorthodox way of solving puzzles, but it's never anything that changes the way you approach a situation. This isn't even close to being a deal breaker, but something I couldn't help to notice. And for the love of God, can we please cool it with the bubble and frozen status effects? Fighting the hydro and cryo enemy combo is the most tedious thing ever. I get frozen, then I'm in a bubble, and oh my God. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. However, the world itself is on that same level of density. It's absolutely packed to the breaking point with things to do and to find. Several different kinds of quests, including some side quests that are annoying scavenger hunts. There are always little environmental puzzles to solve that will reward you with nice little things that actually matter, new weapons, duplicate weapons so you can reinforce the properties of your favorites, ascension materials, collectibles that you can use to increase your stamina. Oh, the climbing mechanics. Just like in Breath of the Wild, you can climb just about any surface if you have enough stamina. Pro tip, climb everything. More often than not, if you think it's worth climbing up, the developers did too, and they hit a cool reward at the top. It's still just as satisfying to climb up to the top of a mountain and then glide over the beautiful world to a new area you haven't explored yet. I had the itch to just go exploring while waiting on my rank to increase, so I opened up every region of the map before I was even supposed to. I had the NPCs in the story telling me about this new vast region, and I was like, oh yeah, that place is pretty cool. But because that's something you can do. The enemies in the region are tough, but you can ignore them or outmaneuver them. You can scour high and low for ingredients to make tasty dishes that replenish health and give buffs. You can mine materials to upgrade or craft new weapons. The side quests and every little thing is so important to what your goal in this game actually is, and that's increasing that adventure rank. Okay, so time to hook you if you haven't already been hooked. So some would argue that the best thing about single player games is the gathering of all these cool weapons and abilities, or going to these new locations and just exploring everything you can and having a general adventure. While playing Genshin Impact, everything you do increases your adventure rank. Your characters all level up separately, but your adventure rank increases after every little interaction in the world. You can gain rewards after each rank you go up, but after certain milestones are hit, more of the game unlocks. This includes solo dungeons, domains, new bosses, and best of all, the ability to do it all with up to 3 friends. Us. Oh, it's Michael.
Yeah, headshot, dude.
Oh, Michael.
I'd piece you, Russ.
The game adopts a whole new feel to it when you hit rank 16 and your group is just running around getting wrapped up in adventures. Being able to just go run around with each other and have all this freedom is amazing. And again, being able to show off all your cool weapons and characters to your friends in real time is so much fun.
Holy f***. Okay, I want her either. Dude!
What's her E?
I'm so angry. Oh, holy shit, dude. I'm so angry.
Taking on bosses together is fun, as you could assume, and basically essential as you come back to do rematches at higher levels. It's so engaging to prioritize who will have what elements and what strategies will be adopted. I took the duty of being the healer for a boss that I couldn't do much to in the ways of damage, but it was so much fun to monitor my friends' help and keep them alive. Pro tip number 2. Don't f with Barbara. And yeah, I realize this is nothing new to you MMO players and whatnot, but I've never gotten into an MMO before, so forgive my naive excitement. It's really nice knowing that when the game does challenge me, I can set a custom waypoint and wait for a time when my friends can come and help me take care of it. There are some rules when going online though. When joining your friend's world, you won't be able to collect challenge-specific treasure chests or any other world-specific items. That makes sense though, you don't want some dude joining your world just to run off and go collect all of your special items, because yeah, that's a thing you can do here. Each player has free reign over the map when in someone else's world. I'm not sure why you would want to just go adventure by yourself in a world where you have such limited interaction, but I won't judge your kinks. Man, you know what I just realized? This is the kind of game that Ruby needs. If the stars were to somehow align and some Ruby characters were to make guest appearances here, I would lose my mind. The team-based gameplay is already here, the art style is compatible, the elements are part of the combat already, and the action is on model for that franchise. But maybe that's just me wanting a fleshed out game from this series. Oh well, a boy can dream. Oh, sorry, I kinda got lost there. While I do think the multiplayer adds a lot of replayability to the game, and it is one of my favorite aspects, the multiplayer does feel like it has a lot of potential that's yet to be tapped into. So this section of the video is what I'm going to label Dear MiHoYo, listen to the things a random 24-year-old wants in your $150 million game that is free, and do them, please. Number 1, give friends a reason to go help their friends in their world. Like, there really aren't any interesting things for friends to come and do. Yeah, you can go run around and get chests and waypoints for the host, but there's not much besides experience and random loot drops for the visitors. It might be worthwhile to add some special items that only travelers from other worlds can get in their friend's world. Maybe some sort of augmented thing that can be traded out for gems, or maybe even some special kind of material that you can make special weapons with. That'd be cool. Number 2, cosmetics. This one's so easy, and I'm sure you're already working on it, but I really want my Barbara or Traveler to look different than my friends. I would be okay with just some skins, honestly, and I really hope we're getting some cooler gliders at some point. Pretty sure there are only 3 in the game, and one is exclusive to PS4 players. I mean, Breath of the Wild had, you know. Number 3, add more activities and challenges for friends to overcome. Boss fights are cool, and a select few do take some genuinely fun teamwork, but that's about it. Make more multi-phase bosses that are only available to fight with other players. There are too many boring combat trials too. Combat trials with friends are too easy and they're boring. I would assume you'd be doing this already because it's such an obvious thing, but make co-op dungeons a thing. You know all those super fun and creative dungeons that I went through in the main story? Yeah, make some of those bigger, tougher, and co-op. Or, and this is stretching it a little bit more, but why not take a page from Necropolis's book and have some procedurally generated dungeons that get super tough, but the loot gets better and better the further you go down? Oh my god, that would be so much fun! Oh, and puzzles. I want to solve puzzles with my friends, please. You could make some co-op exclusive quests that only become available when another player joins you, but I would honestly just prefer the dungeons. Seriously, if you take nothing away from this video, please let me do dungeons with my friend! Whew. Well, yeah, that was pretty much my biggest thing. I guess a trade system could be cool, but it'd probably be a nightmare to keep balanced and you'd have bidding wars for the characters before you knew it. Like, my cousin keeps complaining that he doesn't have a two-handed swordsman, but you have Venti, Jake. You have the most rare character in the game right now. Don't be a little bitch, dude. Venti's sweet, bro. So earlier, when I said I was exploring the map because I was waiting on my rank to increase, yeah, that's a little bit of a hang-up as well. Some quests are actively locked behind a certain adventure rank. If you're not a high enough level and you've drained your side questing options, you're stuck on the more mundane side of Genshin Impact for a little while. It stinks that it takes so long to get on with the game, but I can't be too mad at it, mostly because there is still plenty to do. It might not be the most exciting content, but you can still go explore, solve puzzles, fight bosses with friends, and experience the game. And also because I don't think there's a way to actively pay for your adventure rank to increase. You can't buy experience points to my knowledge, so that has to be an indication of these level caps being in the intention of keeping players over a long period of time, not starving them for content so they feel obligated to throw money at it. I really hope this game sets a new standard for free-to-play games, because every time I read an article on it, it's always tied to how the developer is looking out for the players, like how during a scheduled maintenance period for the servers, the team gave every player a set amount of currency for every hour the servers were down. That's just making sure your fans are happy, and you have to love that. Plus, they're actively listening to fan feedback and are implementing changes that fans want. I would have usually tried to have this review out closer to launch, but with all the holiday specials and other new games coming out, I just didn't have time. But those things didn't even come close to the time I just actually spent playing this game. I could not put it down. I even have the game on my phone. Yeah, you can have cross progression on your phone and PC. I've been doing my daily commissions on my lunch break at work. As for performance sake, it runs, but that's about it. The frame rate tanks when anything happens on screen, and the camera is much harder to control when you have to move with the thumb that's also playing cameraman. And apparently my RPG addicted older brother is already adventure rank 35, and he only plays it on the phone. I don't even want to know how long it took him to get to that level, dealing with all of this. The mobile version is good for short bursts and keeping you on top of your daily tasks. I think the PS4 players aren't allowed to do crossplay or cross-save, but I'm not 100% sure. And there's no Xbox version, sadly, but a Switch port is on the way, so that'll be fun. If you haven't got the memo yet, I really like this game. This is, without a doubt in my mind, the least intrusive, least aggressive, best free-to-play game I have ever played. And it's just getting started. The combat is engaging, there's plenty of room to build the kind of party you want, the exploration is top-notch, the quests are pretty interesting, you RPG fans will definitely get more mileage out of the story than I have, and it's got cute anime girls. Like I mentioned, the developers are listening to fan feedback and constantly adding to the game. I don't even think the main quest is finished at the moment, so if you want to jump in with some friends, there's no time like the present. You will get way more than what you put in here, but if you do like it, throw some cash the developers' way. If it means they can give us some co-op dungeons, how can you not throw them some coin? But anyway, I appreciate you for watching. So thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.